Rico, Tiago? He's got the coolest face. Oh, one of my favorite things to eat, I would say, if I could have it every single day, it would be ribeyes. Thick, thin, Philly cheesesteaks, put it wherever you want. I love me a nice ribeye. All right, guys, welcome back. So one of my favorite things to eat, I would say, if I could have it every single day, it would be ribeyes. I love ribeyes. Thick, thin, Philly cheesesteaks, put it wherever you want. I love me a nice ribeye. Here I have about maybe 1 inch thick. You can go thicker, you can go thinner, depending on your preference. Something I've been playing with, that's what she said, I know. God, guys, I get it. That's what she said. I've been playing around with quality versus quantity. We talk a lot about how much can you actually digest versus how much you ingest. And I'm going to be truthful with you guys. The fattier, the more natural the beef, the less of it you need. And I know it sucks because I do love to get my 1 kilo, 2 pound piece of steak and chow it down like a fucking behemoth that I am. But the quality of the meat is just so nice. You don't need that much. I went to the butcher shop today. They had Australian Wagyu. It's probably like an A2, A3. You can see there's nice marbleization, not too much, but the fat quality is still really nice. What I like about Australian Wagyu is it's much higher in omega-6s, omega-3s. So the fat complex that's happening there is gonna fill you up a lot faster. You'll feel satisfied without having to just ingest so much fucking meat. And then you have a stomach ache and you feel like you need to sleep for days and days and days.
And you get more nutrients.
Absolutely. You get a whole lot more out of this little piece of meat than having to double it up and do 900 grams. So it ends up costing you about the same, but the quality is much nicer. The meat isn't sick when you're about to eat it. You know, it's nice quality meat. This is about 250 grams, maybe 300 grams at most. Again, it's just a beautiful piece of meat. There's 2 ways that you can prepare this. My favorite way to do it is kind of a reverse sear. I like to call it a quick dry age. Usually takes about an hour to 90 minutes. And basically, I take the steak, I grab some salt. We're gonna put some salt on top. A nice kind of layer of salt. Kind of pound it in there nice and easy. And you're just gonna put it on a nice rack. If you have like cookie sheets, that like cooling cooking sheets, anything like that so that air can get underneath it is gonna be better. And basically, medium rare, which is the temperature that I like to eat ribeyes at, is about 76 Celsius. 150, I'm gonna fuck that one up. 100 and something degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, I go by feel. Yeah, I think it's like 155 Fahrenheit is medium rare. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set my oven temperature at 50 degrees Celsius, which would be a perfect rare steak. And we're just gonna stick it in there again, conventional oven, so the fan's going nonstop. We're gonna go for an hour, right? If you're doing bigger piece of meat, I love to do this with picanha. I'll do for like 2.5 hours. And just let it basically get to temperature. If you have a nicer oven, this one not so much, I would put it at 75 or 80 degrees and then maybe go about 40 minutes and it gets it there, you just need to sear it. This one, it goes from 50 to 100. I don't like to rush the process because I like the proteins to break down, the fat to start to kind of almost get rendered. All the moisture gets pulled out of the beef. You just get a nice concentrated piece of steak. Something that I love to go with my ribeye is creamed spinach. That's something I grew up with, something I really enjoy, something that is seldomly done correctly, in my opinion, because you get like this liquidy green goop that comes out of the spinach that doesn't look cheesy and creamy and delicious, and the spinach is always watery. People tend to skip steps. So I decompose the whole thing and I do it my way, which I think is not the best way, but you guys will be able to test it out and you guys tell me. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take spinach that I bought at the store. We're gonna cook it, we're gonna render it down, take all the water out of it so that it doesn't go into the fats. I'll pull it off, then we'll put the fats into it. So basically, again, trying to hide fats as much as we can into our food. Heavy cream, butter, and we'll do a little bit of cheese, and we're just gonna try and bring it all together with some garlic and some spices. So while this is starting to get going, we'll get rocking with the cream spinach. So first thing that we want to do is get the fire going, nice high heat, and basically same thing that we did with the broccoli. Go look for the broccoli episode here. Add the button. So we're going to take the spinach and we're going to cook it in batches. I don't like to mass cook the spinach because it renders a lot of liquid. I don't think it tastes good. I like smaller batches. I like to make every single piece of spinach that you eat be delicious. So we're going to have a big bag of spinach. We're going to have ourselves some garlic, because who doesn't love garlic? So I'm going to take 2 cloves of garlic, smash them down. It's the same board that I had meat on. Don't worry, guys. It's all right. It's good quality meat. You can have it as tartare. It's not going to get you sick. So 2 cloves of garlic. Again, going back to my lard, I think it's a very underrated fat. I think it's one of the best fats that you could possibly have. It's delicious. Get some nice lard in there. We're going to add some butter in there as well, guys. And so I have a few cloves of garlic here. So I'm going to throw 1 in there. Let everything melt kind of at a higher heat. It's always nice to hear a sizzle. We're going to have our spinach and some salt. So again, I need the pan to get nice and hot. This is a home kitchen, so the butane level is not that high, the burning level. So once I start to see a little bit of browniness coming about, take a nice handful of spinach. See, it doesn't sizzle. If it doesn't sizzle, guys, it's not hot enough. There it is. You start to get the nice sizzling sound. Now we got a good temperature. Grab a nice handful, throw it in there, move it around, grab some salt. See how no weird green liquid comes out? It's so much nicer. I'd much rather see that. Cook it down a little bit. A little bit of black pepper. Black the pepper, black the pepper. Fucking stupid faces, Richard. Be professional, damn it. Beautiful. All right. So I got this grand idea because we're doing spinach and, America, right? Everything's always better with bacon. So I'm going to add some bacon into the pan. We have all our spinach nice and seared. And so get the pan kind of going nice and hot. Run it out a little bit. Once you move it, let it sit for a bit, get nice and caramelized. We want to render the fat, but we also want to get a little bit of texture out of the bacon. Once that starts going, I'm going to have my delicious heavy cream. The dog always looking for the scraps. Fucking Tiago. If you look at the bacon, it's starting to get some browning going on, right? You kind of just let it sit. Don't move it around too much. We have my famous happy-go-lucky slug room. Some fats, right? Again, 35%, so we want to get most of that to reduce. So I'm going to put quite a bit in there. That's going to be about 1.5 cups of heavy cream. We're just going to let it go, let it start reducing. And kind of start moving it a little bit. Guys, if you guys, for whatever reason, have some time at home, I love using fresh herbs. It's always hard to find. They're always kind of expensive, but they give such a delicious flavor to things. You can feel free to add either the whole stem, if you don't mind fishing the stems out. If you do mind, you can always just kind of start getting the leaves only. And so basically that will take away from you having to be fishing these unedible kind of chewy stems and fibrous stems. You can add all that into the cream, mix it around, get some good flavors going up in there. Always remember when you're using cream and you're trying to reduce it down, it starts to bubble quickly, it starts to foam up, and it'll start to scorch. So just kind of have low to medium low heat and just always be moving it around just so that you don't get stuck getting cream all over your burners. That's happened to me a few times, that's why I know. I'm the guy that messes it up. Oh, we could add to this, we could add blue cheese. Because who doesn't like a good Roquefort cheese? You know what I mean? Nice. And if you like blue cheese, guys, add it to your spinach. Why not? It sounds delicious to me. If people don't like it, don't add it. If you like cheddar cheese, add cheddar cheese. Yeah, that'll be so good. That's going to add some good stuff to it. I like it already. I need to add some Worcestershire sauce. Lee and Perrins, what I could find, but just add a little bit of acidity to the spinach. So this is kind of like a salsa dance, you know, kind of like a tango when you're dancing with a beautiful woman, but you don't want to add too much heat because the hands aren't allowed there. So you got to take the hands back off, then you slowly add them back on, but then it's too much, so you have to back them back off. You know, you gotta caress it. You gotta woo the cream. You can start to see how it starts to almost change colors. It starts to get nice and thick. The bubbles will start to kind of go more towards the side, and as you start to see the bubbles come up, it almost starts to look like a cheese, right? Like an actual cream. If you were to mess this up, guys, and you reduce it too much and the fat breaks apart and it gets kind of like oily and solid, you're basically making cheese curds at that point. The worst thing that's going to happen is just it's going to look weird. It won't look all professional. But it's still going to taste delicious. Like all the flavors are still melting together. It's a broken sauce, and that's mainly what you'll see. But you can see right now, like it's almost at a perfect consistency because as I scratch the spatula, I start to get a little bit of that kind of spacing in between. If I can get that to maybe like 1 more second of spacing, I know I'll be good to go. So right when I'm at that point, I know that it's time for me to add some mascarpone cheese. So I'll add maybe like, what is that, half a cup? 175 grams. Mascarpone cheese, kind of like a cream cheese, but not as sweet. There's less sugar in it. It's a great cheese to kind of add. It's a lot of fat, makes it nice and creamy, adds a great texture to it. Again, on and off the fire. It's a little bit more intensive as far as work that needs to go in, but this is where you kind of get to have your fun with it. You get to see kind of how the fats actually start to work and emulsify together. So if I were to give it all fats, it'd start to break very, very quickly. So right now you can see like the shine on it. If I were to keep it on too much heat right now, it would probably start to break and you would see almost like oil and then cheese or like globs of protein, which I don't want. I want it to stay nice and fatty and nice and creamy. So I'll take it on and off the heat as I need it. This is something you can just kind of play with. Worst comes to worst, it breaks. It's still going to taste good. It's going to look a little bit more oily than creamy. But it's still edible, which is important. Don't throw it away. If you're not trying to, impress anybody, it's not a first date, you're good to go. So you can see it taking it off the heat. If you come in really quick, Tyler, you'll be able to see how it's just nice and creamy. There's a nice shine to it. But see how now it's like getting almost like a cheesy kind of creamy consistency. I'm sure it would taste delicious. We should taste it. Fuck, that's so good. Basically, it's like a bacony cream. I'll add a little bit more heat to it. This is where I'm going to add my acids, guys. So Worcestershire sauce, just a few specks of it. Kind of add a little bit of acidity to it. Move it around. Again, this is where you kind of get to see what you want your finished product to look like. Depending on the bacon you're using, the amount of saltiness that's coming through the bacon of how they cured it will be depending on how much salt you want. So this is not very salty bacon. So I added some extra salt to it, some black pepper. A little bit of heat. And so this, guys, is all ready to go, basically. Let me taste it one more time just to make sure. Guys, this is basically ready to go. I could eat this like a soup right now if I wanted to. I'm going to let it rest. Wait till I have my steak ready to go before I add the spinach in there and mix it all together. Sounds good? So let's take a look at our steak. All right, guys. So taking a look at the steak. Whoa. Look at that beautiful TV magic moment. So what I did is try to pull out as much moisture as I can, right? So you can see it's a lot firmer. The meat's a little bit darker. This is almost ready to be, you could eat it like this if you really wanted to, but we're gonna make it a little bit better. So I'm gonna resalt it, salt, pepper, both sides. Press it in nice and tight. You can see it's a beautiful piece of meat. So it got a little bit darker. It starts to get almost like a jerky color. All the moisture's been drawn out. So now all we need to do is get a really, really hot pan. And what that's gonna allow me to do is just get a sear, get a nice baste on it, and we'll baste it with some rosemary, some garlic cloves, and some thyme. Let it rest and we'll be good to go. I don't know about you guys, but I like my steaks garlicky. Rosemary, thyme, garlic. What else do you want in life? Some hot butter, I guess. I agree. So again, very low heat that I can get out of these beautiful home pans that we have here, which might be what some of you guys have at home. For cooking today, I'm going to use a tiny, tiny bit of grapeseed oil. This is already a very fatty meat. I don't need that much oil. What I want to do is make sure that I get a nice caramelization out of my first side and then my second side, but the first side is most important, so you get that nice crust that gives it the meat, the texture. So it's really going to be just maybe half a tablespoon. That's about all you need. Kind of move it around. The way that you know that the pan's ready to be kind of going is you start to see white smoke. You'll see a proof of white smoke. See right there? And that means that the pan is hot enough. You can put your hand here. We have a very, very low burning heat, so I can keep my hand here for quite a bit. Usually it's supposed to be about 2 to 3 seconds. I need to take it out, but this is what we're working with. I'm gonna put the meat in there. I'm gonna press it down just so I can get that nice, delicious crust out of it. As that's going, we're gonna go low heat, reintroduce our spinach. See all that water? That would have just been green slime. Oh, yes, baby. Woo! Now that's fucking cream spinach, guys. Have some fucking cream in that spinach, you know what I mean? We can get that going nice low heat just to kind of keep it warm. It's good to go. That's gonna be served. It's ready to go, right? The steak, guys. I've been searing it for about 60 seconds. You see a lot of the smokes coming out. You're getting that nice crust on the bottom side, which is what I want. I'm going to start to slowly bring the temperature down. People in this household like their steaks rare. People in this household like their steaks medium rare. Some like medium. But we'll see how it goes. I'm going to cook it how I like it. If they don't like it, I can have more. It's usually how I look at it. I just want to make sure I get a nice crust. So about 90 seconds on one side. So I turn around. Oh, look at that beautiful marbleization. I'm going to have it sit there for a little bit. Bring the temperature down a tiny bit more. And I will just want a nice piece of butter in there to start burning. Some garlic. And some nice herbs. A little bit more butter. Oh, you can smell the herbs just coming. The aromatics are amazing on this. And so what I want to see is I want to start to see kind of that foaming sensation happening from the butter. See how it starts to get kind of nice and foamy? Start to get the herbs in there so the butter can start to infuse with the herbs. And then we'll start to slowly baste it. That's why I'll turn my heat back up once I've melted the butter. And it's ready to go. And I'll put it as high as I can on that flame and just basically start to baste. Trying to get as much of that butter and oil to become delicious. Let it get a little bit hotter. Move that spinach around a little bit. That spinach looks legit. I'll take some of my herbs now that the butter's been kind of infused on it. Let it go. You can see that foaminess. And we'll call it there, guys. So about 2-3 minutes searing it. You can feel it. Feels kind of nice. Might be a little bit raw for some of us. For most meat eaters, you guys know who I'm talking about, probably be good. Went a little bit over just to make people happy. Basically, we'll have it there. We'll finish off with the spinach. We'll add some blue cheese on there, some nice gorgonzola. Because you can't be cheesy enough. So we're going to let the steak rest for about, I would say, a good 2-3 minutes, just so that the juices can kind of stay nice and tight. I love to have the garlic on top of it. I'm a garlic fiend. It's good for your immune system. It just tastes delicious, let's be real. So, you know, that's a cream spinach, guys. Fucking hey, that looks amazing. I love it. All right. So, I like to chop up my garlic. You don't need to. I like to have it as a side dish, right, as well. Have your nice little garlic deliciousness. And then, oh, look at that. Beautiful. And that, guys, is a delicious steak. A little more salt on top. And then a little piece of resistance, just because we're fancy. Smoke a little bit of that good stuff. Put it on top. Oh, it's so good. Take the cream spinach. You have yourself a delicious meal for one. No sharing on this one, guys. Who wants to try it? Yeah.
Can I eat now? Seriously? You make me wait long enough?
Now, mind you, this is a rare steak. He doesn't like rare steak.
Yeah, I don't, but it's fucking good.
That's good. Again, quality of the fats.
If I like a rare meat, trust me, it's fucking good. Because I don't, so.
I fucking love the fat of the ribeye, dude. How's the spinach?
It's pretty good.
So you can see creaminess. The blue cheese isn't overpowering, but it's cream.
Yeah.
We call it a cream of spinach.
It's actually a lot thicker than you would think.
Yeah.
It's almost like a biscuit at this stage. It's like super thick actually. It's not like a soup.
You can eat that one. I'll get more for people. Yeah.
You are eating like that? I don't mind it's not chewy, it's almost crispy. I can definitely feel that.
Wow. gosh, the garlic. Did
So
you put
guys-
garlic on your steak? So good.
Cheers to everybody out there. Australian Wagyu. Again, not that expensive. This is enough for one person, way more than enough for one person.
It's too early for me to do this.
And it's what you need.
So good. Doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah, you don't need that much.
No, I don't even need it more cooked. If you do it forever. Dry it, yeah, exactly, yeah. Because even dry it like that, I don't mind at all. So I don't like chewy bread. This is not chewy at all.
So if you look at the cream, it's starting to break a little bit because I left it on the heat a little bit too long. But you can see it's a nice creamy consistency. It's actually creamy, not watery. That's amazing. Spot on, guys. Enjoy. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Subscribe up top and hit that button over there.
And like this